I'll say this for Premier Smith from Alberta, that there is no private proponent, there is no money, there's no project.
Folks, you need to stick with me right to the end of this video today. You're not going to want to miss what happened in Ottawa this week, because if Alberta gets shut out, it won't just be politics anymore. It could hit your wallet. Buckle up. This is Unfiltered. Now, who remembers this post from back in May? Premier Smith laid it out, 9 bad laws, and she told Ottawa there was a line in the sand. Let's remind ourselves what they were. Pursuing a new Alberta Accord within Canada, demanding guaranteed port access for Alberta energy and resources, repealing harmful federal laws like Bill C-69 and the emissions cap, requiring Alberta's consent on any export restrictions of our resources, and getting the same federal transfers as BC, Ontario, and Quebec, launching the Alberta Next Panel, which she's done, exploring protections from Alberta, and preparing for a 2026 referendum on key proposals, defending Indigenous rights and treaties without compromise. That's not a small list, and Albertans made it clear they don't want talk, they want action. Fast forward to Grande Prairie. Here's what happened at the latest Alberta Next Panel in Grande Prairie, Alberta, when an Albertan pressed the Premier on Ottawa.
They might give us an inch in regards to the 9 non-negotiables that you stated to Carney, but we are demanding a mile. You need to draw a very definitive line in the sand immediately as far as when is his last day to comply. Otherwise, you'll be seen as having bark and no bite, and you'll be done politically. And I really want you to stick around.
And Premier Smith, she responded, and listen close. She just pushed the deadline to November.
Well, I'll tell you where I started. So my starting point was that I wanted to see some changes in legislation by the time they came back into session. So they've come back into session just as of yesterday, or just as of earlier this week, September 15th. The Prime Minister and I have had a really good meeting of the minds on a lot of the things that I've put on the table. Not all of them, not yet, but we're kind of 80% in agreement, which is better than it was with the previous guy. But you've probably heard him say that he wants to have a second announcement on major projects by Grey Cup. So that's kind of my line in the sand, because I have told him that I believe that Justin Trudeau created the separatist uprising in Alberta, and the only way it's going to be addressed is if he undoes a lot of the terrible policies that happened under the Trudeau Liberals. And so I've been pretty clear about that.
Okay, if you're from Alberta and you know that your premier drew a line in the sand back in May, but now just moved the goalposts, how does that make you feel as an Albertan? Drop your province below and enter the national Unfiltered town hall right now. Tell me, should Ottawa shut Alberta out in the next round of projects in November? 1 for yes, 2 for no. So Alberta is standing firm, but out west, British Columbia Premier's David Eby, he had something very different to say to the Premier of Alberta. Watch this.
Should the West Coast tanker ban be reversed as part of a grand bargain to ship decarbonized oil through the north coast of British Columbia?
Well, you know, I'll say this for Premier Smith from Alberta. She's an incredible advocate, because you would never guess that there is no private proponent, there is no money, there's no project. There's no support from First Nations along the coast. In fact, nobody's talked to them. And this project is non-existent except for in the political discourse. In British Columbia, we have tens of billions of dollars in projects with private proponents that are ready to go, that need a strong federal partner. And unfortunately, because of this continuing push for this pipeline that doesn't actually exist in any meaningful way, I'm concerned around projects that we actually have that are going ahead in our province. We just announced the Silisms project from the Niska, for example, that rely on the support of coastal First Nations, and that those projects may be put in jeopardy by that push.
All right, Canada, we've got Alberta drawing a hard line, BC's Premier pushing back, but this fight doesn't stop at the Rockies. It's moved straight into Ottawa, and the timing couldn't be more explosive. In just the past few days, Chrystia Freeland resigned her cabinet position. She's now been shipped off as a special envoy to Ukraine. And on top of that, the government of Canada has confirmed that there'll finally be a federal budget, but not until November the 4th. And it's expected to carry a massive deficit. If you want more Canadians to see this fight, make sure you drop us a super thanks and make sure that you subscribe right now to the channel and share and hyper this video. Let's get this town hall as big as we can. So what happens now? The premiers of Saskatchewan and BC both had flown into the capital this past week to press their cases. Pierre Poilievre is back in the House of Commons, and even Tom Mulcair admits the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, was caught a little off guard at times in his first question period. He thinks Carney will improve, but he also noticed that Poilievre seemed to be holding back just a little bit.
I thank the great Damien Kirk who made it possible, and I thank the Prime Minister for calling a prompt by-election. I wonder if one day he might regret that decision, but in a spirit of good faith, I wonder if he agrees that our goal should be a Canada where hard work is rewarded, where food and homes are affordable, where streets are safe, where borders are solid, and where we're all united under a proud flag.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure I speak for all parliamentarians in welcoming the member for Battle River Crowfoot back to the House of Commons. He may notice a few things have changed since he was here last. The largest women's caucus in Canadian history.
Okay, before we go any further, make sure you drop your province in the comments below and tell me, should Ottawa shut out Alberta in November? 1 for yes, 2 for no. This is our Canada-wide town hall, and your voice matters. All right, let's keep this going. The back and forth in question period this week was on fire. But did you notice something? Carney's style? It's a little bit different. Compared to Justin Trudeau, while in the House was smug, confrontational, and arrogant, Carney almost looks like he's enjoying himself. He's bringing more personality to question period.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister mentioned how much had changed, and it's true. I look around this place, and when I left, there was a Liberal Prime Minister who was making excuses about breaking promises, running massive deficits, costs, crime, chaos were all out of control. And whereas today, we have a Liberal Prime Minister breaking promises, making excuses, running massive deficits with costs, crime, and chaos out of control. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister match the grand promises with the real change Canadians need?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I understand the Minister, or the Minister, promotion. Come on over. I understand the Leader of the Opposition was busy. He missed the largest tax cut for 22 million Canadians. He missed the cut on the GST for new homes. He missed eliminating all federal barriers to trade. He missed, I hope I'll have another opportunity to finish a very long list of what the Leader of Opposition.
Now, that back and forth, it sets the tone, but the real battle in question period is over money. And watch closely, because this next exchange goes right at the federal budget. And remember, Ottawa has confirmed that the budget lands on November the 4th, and it's expected to carry a massive deficit.
In the spirit of nonpartisanship, we are simply going to hold this Prime Minister to his own promises. He promised that he would spend less. He's already spending 8% more. He promised the budget would be in October. Now he says it will be in November, more than halfway through the fiscal year. He promised that his government would have a smaller deficit than Justin Trudeau. Instead, now we hear that it might even be double. So a trivia question. Can the Prime Minister tell us, has there ever been a Prime Minister who has successfully doubled the deficit without even introducing a budget?
Mr. Speaker, this government is undertaking the biggest investment in protecting Canadians in the Canadian military. Doubling our investment in the Canadian military from last year when this member last sat in the House by the end of this decade. This government, there's more.
Hey, make sure if you haven't already to subscribe to the channel, hyperlink this video, and share this video as well. Okay, now pay attention to this next one because this is where it gets personal. Watch this exchange on deficits and interest rates.
Well, surely if he was such an expert, he would know the size of his own deficit. It's now halfway through the fiscal year. 6 months have gone by, and he has announced $40 billion of additional spending. Deficits drive up inflation, grocery prices, housing costs, and interest rates. They drive out investment from our country and uncertainty that destabilizes our economy. That's why every other prime minister in Canadian history has announced the deficit at the beginning of the fiscal year. We're 6 months in. Does he even know the size of his own deficit?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I know many things. And one of the things I know, the member opposite, the leader of the opposition, just mentioned interest rates. One thing I know is that Canadian interest rates are much lower than American interest rates. They're lower because this country's fiscal situation is strong, because this government has a plan to grow this economy, and we will keep doing it. We'll keep
Okay, let's just pause here. This week, the Bank of Canada actually dropped interest rates by a quarter point, down to 2.5%. Why? Well, because the economy's softening, GDP is shrinking, inflation's cooling, and jobs are slowing. Credit where it's due. Maybe Carney saw this coming, but make no mistake, a weaker economy still hits Canadians hard. Wages, jobs, and our wallets.
How big is the deficit that the Prime Minister is running?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward with the Minister of Finance to releasing the budget on the 4th of November. That budget will contain the biggest investment in this country's future in a generation. Building homes, building new port infrastructure, new trade corridors, new energy infrastructure, building the strongest economy in the G7.
Now, here's the unfiltered truth. By November, Alberta won't just be fighting Ottawa. This could decide whether Alberta even has a real seat at Canada's national table. And if Ottawa slams that door shut again, the fallout won't just be political. It could hit our wallets hard, but more importantly, how will it shape the future of a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada? Make sure you join our national town hall. Drop your province in your comments below and tell me, should Ottawa shut Alberta out again in November? Drop a 1 for yes, 2 for no. And make sure you follow us on all other social media platforms, including TikTok. And if you believe in our work, you can always drop us a super thanks, or you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video so more Canadians can join us here at our national town hall called Unfiltered. And if you want to see more, I'll see you in the next video. It's called Carney's National Plan, 4 winners, 1 loser. Maybe we'll see you there.